Hey, it's Chuck Armstrong with Loudwire Nights, and this is Loudwire Nights On Demand. We recently hung out with Gavin Rossdale talking all about Bush's recent Greatest Hits compilation and their tour with Jerry Cantrell, Candlebox, and Tim Montana. This first aired on Wednesday, July 31st. Let's go. Well, millions of records sold, billions of streams of their songs, countless number one singles, and they're still going strong as ever, man. 30 years after releasing their debut album, 16 Stone. I'm talking about Bush, and tonight we're hanging with the man and the voice behind it all, Gavin Rossdale. Gavin, it's great to have you on the show, man.
Thanks for having me.
So when you hear those kinds of things, you know, like millions and billions and number ones and on and on and on, what goes through your head?
Some good choices I've made. You know, it's like it feels it's really flattering, and it's not my daily intro. So it has a tickling quality to it. I mean, it's flattering, and I'm forced to be self-referential, which is something that, you know, I've never been allowed to be. In England, you can't really be self-referential, you know, without getting a slap. So, you know, I mean, I'm just happy. It's funny because I love that thing of comparison is a thief of joy, you know, and so it's easy to look up and see certain bands that have, you know, better careers, and it's easier to look below and see bands that haven't had the same career. You know, I think it's really healthy to just think of yourself in your own context rather than I wish. So, as a working musician, to have given my life to music, and to hear and to know what it took to get to this point, and the rejection and stuff like that, beginning feels, it's not like vindication, but you just sort of, I can't help but have a sense of like, wow, that's intense. Like, I didn't really know too much about the billions of streams until I began hearing it recently, and I was like, oh, it's not bad. It's like,
yeah. That's it's pretty incredible, man. And not every band can say that, right? Like, billions is a whole other universe.
You know, the danger that is, like, you know, it's those end of year things. You know, you shouldn't post the end of year stats, because as soon as you post it, someone will come and crush you. You'll be like, oh, man, that's a real number. So I've never posted those things. I've always been given the Spotify lists and the breakdowns, and been impressed even by them. But then being fully aware that you just open yourself to a lot of crushes when you look around on the bit players. So it's just incredible to be still given the opportunity to make music that way, to see. And, you know, growing up, all the bands that I loved, I don't even know if I ever connected my love of them to their success. It was just about whether or not I liked them, you know, and the context never really mattered to me, rightly or wrongly. You know, I preferred the Clash's first record to the second record, to Give Them Rough Rope. I just really didn't like Give Them Rough Rope, and I was really worried about that. So I was freaking out on this band. Then I liked Sandinista, you know, so
yeah,
that record. So it's like, just happy to be here. Really happy to be here.
Right on, man. Yeah, I mean, certainly a lot of gratitude comes with that. And I don't know, I mean, maybe there's a way to survive 30 plus years without gratitude, but it seems like that's a pretty healthy way to move on.
That's called dictatorship. That's a political dictator. 30 years of rule, and it's incredible.
That's
even
right.
North Korea.
You know, you mentioned, you know, obviously, like, talking about the good things of billions and millions, but, you know, you experienced plenty of rejection too. What were some of those things? I know you've been open about, you know, kind of being, you know, just aware of your voice early on in the days, and people saying things about your voice, and just, you know, kind of having that self-esteem about that. But were there other moments of rejection that you overcame to get to that point of releasing 16 Stone, or to get to that point of, you know, whatever that might be?
Well, all of them. I mean, every single moment was a different stepping stone of rejection at that point in my life. I knew enough people, A&R guys at London, that there was Tracy Bennett at London, there was Clive Black EMI, you know, so there's all these people that I would see out and about and just think, you just trust me, but I wish you could, you know, and so, yeah, all those things. It's just funny because now we live in such a culture of encouragement, you know, we can sort of see the benefits of that, and like, it's just not how it was, you know. for me and for millions of people. So it's just, I don't hold a bitterness about it because, people don't necessarily have to have a crystal ball. And, there's a lot of changes that I went through to get to the point where I could make 16 stone and be on the stage and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it was just, that's just life. I mean, life is full of rejections. I mean, how you can't possibly live a life without consistently getting fucked. Just, I don't know how else to do it. At some point, someone's always trying to fuck you. This is unbelievable. It makes no difference. I hope that serves as a message of hope for everyone out there getting fucked. You're not alone.
That's right, man. Well, listen, there is truth to that, right? And that's often why people.
There's no truth to it. And people must know that, because sometimes people eulogize success and they just see the finished product or the finished moment or the accolades. They're not seeing the rejection. They're not hearing about the times where people said, no, that's not good enough, or no, we're not helping you. And that goes for every artist. It's funny, when I first started in movies, it dawned on me that even the shittiest of movies, they deserve your praise, because you know what? It's real hard work, being at 4 a.m. in some stinky, dusty, hot studio environment, feeling like working all day, trying to be good in a movie, dry. It's just really hard. So I even had sympathy for the terrible movies, because I knew they all had to work. The crew doesn't know whether they have Tom Hanks or and anyone else. They can't help it. I remember I did one film, How to Rob a Bank. It was nearly successful. It didn't really work, but it was one of my first big roles. And I remember that there's in the scene, the big, mainly shot in this bank, and there was an extra lying on the floor. And I felt really bad for the extras, because there's marble floor, it's a bank, so it had to lie all day, the extras. And so I'm always going to talk to extras, and I'm not that kind of a person that stack up, right? So chatting to this girl, she was lying on the floor, and I was like, I'm so sorry, it must be so uncomfortable. Do you want to get up? Do you want to sit on a desk? It's all right. And she lay on the floor, she looked at me, she goes, it's so great to work with an actor who knows his lines. I'm like, this is tough for everyone. I don't know what shit you're working on, but yeah.
That seems like a low bar. That seems like a low bar.
Well, actually, ironically, you'd be surprised. No, I think people do show up, not know their words properly. Yeah. It's slow. I don't know how you do that. You can't do that on TV, and you can't do that on indie movies, because I've done indie movies where I knew all my words and I didn't up my words, but at the end of the shoot, I'd be thinking to myself, we raced through everything, and aren't you glad that I knew my lines? Because you don't know. I did a scene with two actors that were given the different script for the scene, so they came together in this scene, and neither of them knew the other's lines. That I was on a movie set on a whole scene. I'm bound and gagged, so it definitely wasn't my fault. And they didn't know that they had different lines. They had different scenes. So I saw the chaos, and that was part. So intense. It was fucking comedic. It's brilliant.
Well, and you describing those things, yeah, those are all, they might not be the black and white rejections that people experience, but those difficulties, those obstacles, whatever that might be, whether it's an extra line on the floor and whatever that might be. But the fact that you're able to talk about it, to confront it, and even to find the hope in it, right? Like the extra saying, at least I'm happy you know your lines. Like there's a silver lining, I guess.
That's the way she said it. She said it whilst not really lifting her head vaguely from this terrible position. It caused pain for days, but yeah. So,
I mentioned it too. We're talking about millions and billions and all of that, but also 30 years, man. 30 years of 16 Stone. That the end of this year will mark the 3-decade mark for that record. Does it feel like 30 years to you?
No, it feels like a rush and a blur, and it's quite disarming, because it's such an unfortunate number. Because if I can think 30 years backwards or be aware of that passage of time, I therefore could think of 30 years into the future, and then I'll be dead. So it's just like, wow, so unfair that it's like, when you're young, the best thing about being young, there's literally no horizon. Now, as soon as you have finite dates, like I've got a 30-year career, so, and it's just sobering. It's like my daily ice bath. The mention of those kind of numbers, it's like an ice bath.
Yeah. Do you take an ice bath every day?
I do. I love them. I hate them when I'm in it.
Yeah.
3 minutes, 42 degrees, usually twice. It's brutal. And I've been away from it for 3 weeks. It was brutal when I left. It was brutal when I came back. I hate it. But then after I'm done, I just feel like that is a really good thing for us to do.
How long have you been doing that?
Maybe 8 months, a year, something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I'm one of, since I'm an idiot like everyone else, and he came off my feet and I saw Wim Hof.
Oh, I should try
doing it.
that.
And then I thought, should I, shouldn't I? Then it was long enough to be, interestingly, I'm not in that first group of people. They do these studies on people, such as there's a wave of people. There's a certain type of people that will go to the first opening weekend of a movie. It's a certain type of person. I definitely fall into the more laid back, dub-loving character of I will catch it, but I don't want anyone to be in a movie theater. So I'm a second wave. I'm a second wave guy, but I will see it. There's a third wave who just don't care. So I'm usually between 2 and 3. I'm 2.5, basically. But the ice bath, because of my health, I was like, I'm second wave. Interesting. What does it feel like? And when we first got it, because of course I'm the same idiot, but in slightly different timings with the infrared. So it began with the infrared. So the infrared was a couple months ahead of the ice bath. We got the infrared. I got to be cold. Yeah, you got to be cold to be young and strong and virile and shock your body, shock it. Okay, make it really hot. Now make it really cold. Okay. So I was a little bit behind. So I already got the infrared to do the infrared, stretch in there to my cell level, to then get in the ice bath and do that. And it's just liberating. It's ruined my mornings because now when I go exercise and I play tennis a lot, I used to be sort of available for everything. We all do that. Now I'm generally like, if I can push it to 1, it's much easier. Anything not pushed to 1 is f***ing up my morning. I've exercised and then there's like breathing and into the ice bath. It's brilliant, but it's extreme self-love.
Yeah,
because it really is caring about your body and it doesn't matter when you're 20 or when you're 30.
That's right. Yeah.
Now my point, I'm like, just eke out the best. I'm like the Premiership, footballers now. They used to have like eggs and bacon and beans for breakfast, and now it's sort of like they weigh their food and it's sort of scientific and every increment thing. So I think I still want to be. I love being healthy. I don't mind being. Well, I do mind. I'd rather not. Obviously, can't change it. So if I'm going to be an old, I don't want to be a bird. I want to be a strong and like, wow, it's unbelievable. Then one day just gone. I don't want to be that sort of wearing down. Like, that's I have no. So this is just literally to save the people around me that love me.
So how do you do that on the road? Right, you're going to be on the road with Jerry Cantrell and Candlebox. I mean, that's quite the regimen you have for the morning. Is that something you take on the road with you?
Well, I can't really take the infrared, although I remember that my sister got me for Christmas one of those infrared suits. You could be like you can sit in it like get a stinky suit. So I may take that. And honestly, you can be bougie, or you can get like found one on the road that just they put in the showers, put the water in it, cold water, and just put ice in it. There's those places always have those big units for ice. By the way, if we go to a venue that don't have ice, I'll take a day off. What can I tell you? I tried, but we're going to try to do that. It's not. I did some shows in Canada just recently, and I came off stage. I was like, I don't know if I want to get into an ice bath now. I must admit, don't know if I've really got the vibe. So we'll see. But I'm really good at something for a while. Then I'll sort of drop off. So I dropped off a bit, and I did it this morning, and I did not enjoy it. It just didn't enjoy it. But I sing as well in there, so I can do my warm-up takes. And takes 5. Whatever I'm doing. Only 5 of those takes a minute.
Wow. So you're doing that in the ice bath?
Yeah. If I sit there realizing where I am, I'm going to die.
Well, that's true.
It's pure mind over matter.
Yeah.
Pure mind.
So you're not canceling any shows if you don't have enough ice or anything like that?
No. That's the new one. There's not enough ice. Show canceled due to lack of infrared.
That's right, man. That's right. Well, listen, this tour with Cantrell and Candlebox, it's great, man. You've got some other people opening a few of the dates. Good friend of our show, Tim Montana. He's going to be with you for a few of those dates, and Bones from the UK. I have to imagine over the last few decades, you've seen a lot of bands come and go. I mean, I know you have, but you've no doubt seen some bands or heard some bands like Tim Montana or Bones who stand out to you. What music out there today gets you or keeps you excited about the future of rock? Because it can't just, like, you said you'll get slapped if you're self-referential. So what else around you kind of keeps you excited about rock?
I've really enjoyed, the Bring Me to the Horizon. People are enjoying that band a lot. Extraordinary voice, Idols for that sort of indie side. I went to see them at the Palladium with my son. That was really fun to see them. I've never seen them live, and I like how vital they are. I like Fontaine's DC. It's got a cool kind of laconic Stone Roses vibe that I do really like. And I think that the music is alive and well. I think that Kendrick Lamar, They Not Like Us track is extraordinary.
Yeah.
We're like, just such a, irrespective of whatever, the beefs and this, I think Drake is also fucking amazing.
So you're not picking a side?
Well, I'm LA. I am LA, but no, it'd be ridiculous.
That's the headline from this story, man.
Yeah.
That's it.
He refuses to take part in a West Coast Canada beef. I have love in both places. Rossdale says he has love in both places, and he's not taking part. We have a good time in Canada. I don't want to my Canada up.
No, yeah, man, you can't. So, I love hearing.
No one cares what I think about Kendrick Drake. No one cares.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, man. I do not talk about that too often. Listen, I know we got to wrap up, but I'm curious, especially because you said, you talked about how you're not allowed to be self-referential in the UK, but in an interview last year, you kind of talked about the idea of writing a memoir or an autobiography or something like that. And I bring this up today because it seems like this year is the year of musician memoirs. We talked to Serge Tankian from System of a Down, Mark Morton from Lamb of God, Derek Whibley from Sum 41. They all have or will release really great memoirs this year. Do you think that's something that will come eventually for you?
I'm a student of Christopher Hitchens, who's an English polemicist, broadcaster, writer, and his take on it was, there's an old saying that everybody has a book inside of them. Everybody has a book inside of them. And the rule of thumb is generally that's where they should stay. So yeah. I don't know. But it's possible, but the problem I got is to tell the truth, which I'm capable of doing, but to make it as arresting as possible. I don't know. You got to put people down the river. The only books that work is if you sell people. Keith Richards' book, which I read, was great, but he had to betray his, he had to betray his lead singer. You had to betray. The more if you don't betray anyone, your book is worthless. You know what I mean? It's worthless because people just want to hear what.
That's right.
That's what they want to hear. And most of the time, Blinkist is going to get a hold of your book and whittle it down to like your 5 best stories. So there's a part of me that feels reservation for people around me that I don't want to inflame, and so it's just probably a waiting game, until they're not around. I don't know. It's always struck me that the fun ones, like I can tell stories in private, and it doesn't matter, but somehow when you put it into print and you
it changes everything.
It does change everything, and I so much power and enjoyment, and the people that would be most injured, I'd be stepping down, I'd be punching down.
Yeah.
And it's really good for dinner conversation and hilarious tales, but literally having, that's what I've always been like, that's a shame, because you have to be brutal. I was reading oh my God, there's a book that just came out, I read the review, I think in The Guardian, about a woman whose son died suddenly at 21. And she wrote a book about it. Apparently, I've read it. It's extraordinary. I read it at 3 this morning, so I apologize for not remembering the name, but the son was 5, 21 years old. This woman wrote about it. Extraordinary writing. Amazing. Beautifully. Oh, my God. And when she's talking about the funeral and mourning her son, some certain members, her mother and her sister, because she lost 3 other siblings. When she wrote about them, she lost a relationship with her mother. So funny we talk about this, because she's saying that it was all lost when at the funeral they couldn't all sit together because the mother and sister don't talk to her because what she wrote. And so that kind of drama. If you don't have, that woman had to write about that. That's her prerogative. Me in my situation, I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe. We'll see.
I don't know, man.
We'll see. I'm looking at Nikki Sixx's book over there.
Yeah.
Diary
No,
heroin.
there's nothing bad or no betrayal in there, man. Listen, I take more personalities like that, man, where you might be a little more hesitant to throw people under the bus or share stories that you don't want to live on as a physical artifact. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that, man. Well, listen, what's next? This Greatest Hits compilation is out. You've got this tour with Jerry Cantrell and Candlebox. The Art of Survival is coming up on its 2-year anniversary. And I know there are a couple of, previously unreleased songs on that Greatest Hits comp, but are you working on new Bush music?
I am about to leave this interview and go into my studio and do a remix of Machine Head. It just sees the light of day. It is hot on the heels of this interview, so I appreciate your good humor and good energy, because I can tell you're a good person. So that's what I did. We've done a new Bush record and recorded 10 songs. I had thought there was discussion about having a single out for this tour, but then it was deemed like didn't really make sense to have a new song out to celebrate the songs we've had when it was a bit convoluted. So start fresh in the new year. And that's 11 tracks recorded and done and ready to be mixed. And I'm sure that when I come back, I'll feel like maybe going into the studio trying to beat. But I'm trying to keep the record to 10 songs, not 12, not 16, 17. I know that people are doing longer records now. Back again to that. Seeing it, I read today about the Zach Bryan record and it's Rolling Stone. It says it could have been 2 songs shorter, but people are now seeing albums as end of year dumps. I didn't quite know if that's quite right.
All right,
but
yeah.
I'm trying to be at 10 or 12.
I like that, man. Well, Gavin Rossdale, thank you so much for hanging tonight. It's always a privilege to get to share some time and space with you. Don't miss Bush on the road over the next couple of months. It's going to be a killer night of rock and roll. Grab the full tour schedule. All the details, we've got everything at loudwire.com. Gavin, you are welcome back anytime, man. Hopefully we can hang again soon.
Love that. Thanks, brother. See you out there.
That wraps up this episode of Loudwire Nights on Demand. Stay caught up with everything happening in the world of rock and metal on the Loudwire app and at loudwire.com.